37 points last night in the Warriors' loss to the Lakers. Steph really did all he could to keep his team in the game, had an opportunity late to send it to overtime, but wasn't able to reel in the inbounds pass with 2 seconds remaining for a game-tying three-pointer. So, Shannon, please give Steph a letter grade for his performance last night.
Skip, I don't normally do this. I don't normally give A's in a losing effort because I think the ultimate goal is that you need to win. But considering what he did and considering how undermanned that they were, I got to give him an A. Hell, as a matter of fact, since I'm here, I'm going to give him an A+. I don't, Skip, because I don't know what else he could have done. I mean, they blitzed him, they trapped him with double, they tripled him, and he was still able to get up. And he still, Skip, he shot 50% from the floor. He was 6 of 9 from 3 after they threw when Frankie V said, we're going to throw the kitchen sink, the bathroom sink, they threw the stove, the refrigerator.
They went down and got the Clipper sink. They threw the basement sink at him.
Skip, everything. I mean, Schroeder tried, Caruso tried, THT tried, KCP tried, AD, LeBron, Drum, everybody tried to trap him, Skip, and he was still doing it. And then at the end of the half, I said, get the ball out of his hands, make Draymond, make anybody else. What they do? They let him float, and he just dart like he's going to go to the basket, knowing he knows there's not a whole lot of time. He can't get to the basket. All he wants to do is create a little separation, and boom. I was like, oh, my goodness. I told y'all don't let this man get going, and y'all let him get going. Now we got our hands full for the rest of the night. And he gave it to us, Skip. I mean, but what can you do, Skip? I mean, I don't know how you stop this. There's not a bad shot. You know, everybody else before Steph Curry, you taking the shots that he's taking and making, that's a bad shot. And if you're not a historically great player, the coach will snatch your butt out the game for taking those shots.
Okay.
But he was spectacular. 37 total points, 11 in the fourth quarter. Big three after big three after big three. Great finishes at the rim, Skip. You know, Kyrie, no one can finish at the rim like Kyrie. But Steph Curry is not slouch at the rim, finishing at the rim. Either side, with either hand, he was simply spectacular last night. And he was what he was last night and what he's been over the last 35, 40 days, which is sensational. Skip, I gave him an A because I don't really know what else he could have done.
A+, you gave.
A+. I gave him an A+ because I don't really know what else he could have done to help the Warriors win. 12 of 23, 6 of 9, 7 of 8, and he was a +4. Everybody else was either minus. Draymond was the only other guy that was above, that had Andrew Wiggins, excuse me, was a +1. Everybody else was either 0 or minus. Steph Curry did all he possibly could to get this win, but he just didn't have enough horses to run along with him.
Okay, before I give Steph a letter grade for last night, allow me to say our man Michael Rappaport texted at halftime just after Steph shot what felt like a dagger. If there's such a thing as a dagger at the end of the first half, he shot it and made it, right? Because it put him up 13. And I knew as soon as I saw the text, it was the ultimate jinx text. And I didn't acknowledge it or answer it because you try to let it lay. Because I just immediately, I told Ernestine, the Lakers just won the game because this is the ultimate jinx.
It's funny,
you
Skip,
cannot do it. It's
funny that you say that because when they were up 11-12, guess who was blowing my phone up? Just texting me back and forth. Hey, how you doing? How the family doing? I said, Mike,
guess who? Guess what?
And I said, Mike, I'm going to call you back after the game. Guess who sent me the voicemail every time I call after the game was over? One Michael Rappaport. I know you were.
Because he was requesting to come on our show today because he wanted to rip and slash your Lakers with one of his stand-up routines. And I would have welcomed it. It would have been fun. But it was doomed as soon as he started to prematurely text. You have to let it lay, let it play, let it finish. If it finished, then you got it because it's in the can,
That's how he front run. He just texted me, hey, how you doing? Tell Skip I said hello. Okay, you got Skip number. You tell Skip.
Okay. Back to the grade. I did challenge Steph last night. I said he was going to go 2 for 14 because he was going to get triple teamed and he was going to force up shots and force passes. And I dared him because he's had a legacy and a history of coming up even smaller than he is in some of the biggest playoff games he's played. He gift-wrapped LeBron's, how many championships does he have? 4. He gift-wrapped number 3 for LeBron because in games 5, 6, and 7, I dare you to go look it up and look what this man didn't do against your Cleveland Cavaliers at that point in those 3 games because he was abysmal from the field and from 3. And then in games 4 and 6 against Toronto, he came up really small at home against Kawhi and company. Okay, so last night, the reason I'm going to give him a B+, because he did rise and shine in every other capacity, but you swept this under your little carpet over there. He had 6 turnovers and only 3 assists. Well, that shocked me because I gave him 10 assists for the game because I thought
they would make him a passer.
Yeah, they just turned him into a passer, and early on they did. But I thought he could do enough damage with his passing to get open looks for whoever. Wiggins had a pretty good game, decent game.
He started out hot.
Yeah, he did. But the point was, 6 turnovers to only 3 assists is no good. And what happened in the third quarter when you guys turned up the defensive heat? He had 3 big turnovers, and his man Draymond had 3 more. So they just unraveled in the third quarter. And as Steve Kerr said, to him, they were unforced errors. It wasn't like the Lakers were just taking the ball out of his hands.
Well, KCP did take it out of his hand one time.
But the point was, he was just coming unglued. So was Draymond. And I got to tell you, as much as I respect Draymond on defense, he was an offensive liability for them last night. It even came down to the one play where Steph hit him right under the basket, right in the hands with a point-blank little layup dunk, you know.
Yeah, and he lost it.
Muffed it, right?
Yeah, Wiggins did the same thing. Wiggins had one that could have put him up.
I agree.
But, Skip, the thing was, I was hoping they make Steph Curry. Because I said all along, if Kent Bazemore and Poole and Toscano Anderson, if they can hit, take, and make those shots, I can live with it. I just didn't want to see this. I'm like, I think the only critique that I would have is not the turnover, Skip, is that I believe he should have got up more than 9 threes. That's what I believe he should.
It's just pretty hard to get him up when you're triple team.
I don't care.
They're chasing him everywhere.
They were.
They had the big penguin chasing him a bunch of times.
And that was the thing, because it's hard, because they and he did a great job of staying out of corners, because he knows if they get him in a corner, he's dead to right, because here come AD, here come Big Penguin, along with one of those guards to trap him. So he did a great job. And guess what? He felt him overplaying. He backdoored. Remember, he got a couple of layups on the back door, Skip. He was just considering, Skip, but you look at the guys that he's playing with. I mean, Kevon Looney had a bunch of rebounds, but Kevon Looney doesn't scare you. I agree. Bazemore doesn't scare you.
I told you yesterday, he's the head of the snake, but there's no body. Right. It's just the head.
And you look at Skip, I mean, if somebody would have told me, I probably would have bet a good chunk of money, Skip, that he wouldn't get this many points.
Okay.
He wouldn't get this many points.
So I'm going to remind you that when we were breaking down this game over the last 2 days leading up to this game last night, when I would mention all the possible defenders for Steph Curry, you would correct me and say, no, you're leaving out Schroeder, right? Well, I left him out for a reason, because even though there was that stat floating around that nobody in the league had done a better job of holding down Steph than Schroeder had in the 3 games that they met this year, he's not that guy on this guy. No. Because this guy is the guy. He's not only too small, but he overplays everything, and he gambles. He's like the ultimate Kluwer cornerback who's jumping every route. Yeah. He's jumping everything, trying to gamble, and Steph just eats his lunch. Yes. He dribbles him into foolishness. He makes him look silly because Steph has a great handle. It's not Kyrie, but it's
playing decent enough to get his shot off.
Yeah. And he has underrated Steve Nash-like quickness, where it's in a confined space, he's quicker than you think he is. And by the way, I applaud Steph. You realize this year he's put on about 10 pounds of upper body muscle. He looks good, man.
Steph does a great job of starting and stopping, Skip, because he hesitates, and then he'll go right by you and go to the rim. He does. And then when you back up off him, guess what? He steps back and pops that 3 yards.
And his release is as quick as you've ever seen it. So I give him high marks. I'm going to go B+, because he made some threes that were spectacular high degree of difficulty.
He had one over LeBron. He had one over AD. I mean, that one right before the end of the half, Skip. I mean, 3 guys are on him, but nobody traps him. They just keep forcing him to his left. Well, you got to trap him. You got to make him give that ball up. Make Draymond. If Draymond hits that 3 at the end of the half, Skip, I can live with that. Anybody else, and I said, let anybody other than Steph beat you. And that's what it came down to, because at the end of the game, Skip, they're like, Steph, you're not really getting this ball.
I agree.
I don't care. Kent Bazemore, Toscano Anderson, Poole, anybody else. But, Steph, you are not taking this shot.
Yet, in the fourth quarter, how did Steph mostly keep them barely afloat? with his two-point shots because his whipped cream shots, they're special, man.
Yeah.
I agree with Jeff Van Gundy. The most underrated part of his game is everything he can do at the rim with his high spins off the glass.
Yeah, I mean, he's shooting the ball high off the rim. I mean, I was like, okay, you shoot this, LeBron gonna get this one. He's like, no, LeBron ain't gonna get this. I mean, it leaves the screen. And he's so good, like I said, Skip, the up and unders.
Yeah.
He either gonna make the shot or he gonna force you to foul him.
I know the kids don't know the Globetrotters, but he could have played for the Globetrotters.
Absolutely, absolutely. But Skip, I mean, to do what he did, given the roster that he's playing with, like you said, Draymond didn't really give him anything offensively. Draymond normally gives you about 8 points, Skip. He normally gives you that. Draymond only what did he give you last night? 2? Draymond gave you
0 for 5 from the field. 0 for 5 with 6 turnovers?
But
that's a liability.
But he gave you his nine rebounds and, you know, eight assists. But yeah, the turnovers, that's too many turnovers. Oh, Steph Curry had 6, Draymond had 6, that's 12.
Yep, there you go.
20. What got them back in the game, Skip, is they had those 15 in the third quarter, in the second half, and they had like 11 or 12 in the third quarter.
Yeah. It was 20-11 in turnovers. That's the ball game.
And that's normally, the Lakers are normally turnover prone.
Yeah, well, this game was so special, so exciting. But you know who actually needs to be talked about?